I have a cold right now, so my voice is not the best. It sounds much worse than it is because I'm a speech pathologist. I've been talking all day. I apologize for that. However, I think this episode is so important. We are going to talk about how to support children who stutter, particularly over the holidays. So, what I've found in the past is that over the holidays is when my children with stutter break down. And there's a myriad of reasons for that, but that's why it's really important to do this episode today. It's very important that you share this episode with parents or teachers of children who stutter, because this is going to be a game changer. I'm going to share with you 8 tips. These are 8 empirically based tips that are game changers when it comes to stuttering. All of them are very, very good. I don't want you to miss any of them. So make sure to share this episode if you have a child who stutters, if you know a child who stutters. The people that work with them, the people that have this child, they're the ones that are going to make a difference over the holidays. This is when we have to double down when it comes to support. Number one, speak more slowly. And what I mean by that, this is the most important one. Speak at a rate that is 80% of what you would typically speak at. Now, the reason we want to do this is because the children will match your rate. And if the children are speaking at a slower pace, they are going to be more fluent. This is because of mirror neurons. It's very important for parents and teachers and therapists to maintain that's 80. So when I say 80%, 100% is how you would typically speak. Slow it down. This is very powerful. This is a strategy that Janet Bilby out of Curtin University uses in Australia in her approach, in which she instructs parents to constantly speak at an 80% rate when they're present with their children, and to even ask that others, caretakers, and other people who are in the home with the children also speak at a slower pace. It's that important. Number two, we want to comment more than question. When we question and question and question, there's a lot of linguistic demands, and that can result in breakdowns. What you can do is simply preface what you're saying with, I wonder. I wonder how this toy works. I wonder why he isn't here today. I wonder where this object is. So you're not asking a question, why isn't he here? How does this work? Where is this object? You're prefacing it with, I wonder. You're making a comment instead of a question. And then if the child doesn't respond, you simply model a response for them. They're benefiting from your modeling. They're benefit of you modeling the idea of why and modeling the response, the idea of how and modeling a response. They're taking that in. They don't need to be answering your questions in order for them to be learning. Number three, try to discourage interrupting. Instead, encourage turn taking. Parents are always telling me when the stuttering happens is when we have lots of children around in the family and everyone wants to speak. So, a simple remedy is to take any object. Here, I have my easy button. When you have the button, it's your turn to talk. You don't have the button, it's not your turn to talk. Some kind of object that really makes it clear the boundary of this person is speaking right now, this person has the floor right now, everyone else is to wait for their turn to speak. Number four, when there are exciting moments, this is another time that parents tell me that the children are stuttering. That's the time we want to check in. And we're going to check in by saying, okay, I can see that we're all really excited right now. Let's take one big deep breath, or you can take 3 breaths, whatever would work for you, your family, or the children you work with. Wow, I feel a lot calmer now. I feel like I'm ready to talk now. So you could do one big breath, you could do 3 big breaths, and it calms the body. And then the child is going to be more likely fluent. Number five, focus on the child's message, not the child's stutter. If the child is having a difficulty getting a message out, give the child time and space to get that message out, and then respond to the message, not the stutter. Okay. Not saying, oh, I noticed that you said this word blah, 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 blah over and over again. No, What is the child's message? Now, we're going to talk about how we can comment on speech. You want to be really careful here because it depends on the child. But I would say in a really matter of fact way, well, that was a little bit bumpy. Let's say it together slowly and smoothly. And then we say it together in choral speech. And that was slow and smooth. You see how smooth it is when we go slowly? I like to pair body gestures with the slowed speech. That really makes a difference for preschool. Number 6, give the child time and space to finish their thoughts. Do not finish their sentences. Do not let other children speak for your child. So if the child is in a stutter, let them get through that stutter and let them finish their thoughts. Don't finish it for them and don't let other children speak for them. All you have to say is, it's their turn to speak. Wait till their turn to speak is over. Number 7, provide predictable, consistent routines as much as possible. Now, this is difficult over the holidays. And the reason we want to do that is when we have a consistent, predictable routine, the child's attention doesn't have to be on, well, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's next? Who's going to be here? And worrying about what's going on in the day. That's all set and predictable. Instead, what we want to do is we want to have that predictable as possible and we want to prepare them for different events. We're not going to be going to school today because we're on vacation and we're going to do something special. Grandma's going to come over and grandpa's going to come over and we're going to build a gingerbread house. Go through their day. So you're going to say, first, we're going to have breakfast. Then grandma and grandpa are going to come over. Next, we're going to eat lunch. After that, go through that day and let them know this is the schedule. This is the routine that we're going to follow today. Keep things the same as much as possible. We're going to brush our teeth. We're going to read a book. And then we're going to go to bed. The more of those buffers, those predictable routines that you can keep in place over vacation time, the better. Number 8 is probably the second, or maybe it is the most important, and that is to build the child's capacity. So when we look at stuttering, there's this dark weather model of demands and capacities. We have our capacity, what we're capable of, and we have the demands placed on us. So the demands could be social, could be linguistic, it could be cognitive, it could be emotional, it could be any type of demand, right? And when that scale is tipped, a lot of times we have breakdowns. So the breakdowns could be in our speech, it could be in hives. Like me, I get eczema, you could have a migraine, you could have a headache. So we have this physical breakdown when the demands are too high, the stressors. So what we can do is we can also not only lessen the stressors, which we talked about in 1 through 7, we can also build the child's capacity. We're going to build the child's capacity in these different ways. So we're going to let the child, it's nice if you can give undivided attention. It can be as little as 5 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes every day, where you're just following the child's lead. What does the child want to play with? What does the child want to do? And you can even follow their lead and mirror their actions right behind them and do what they do. Then what you're going to do is you're going to give them objective, specific feedback that's positive. You're going to say, wow, I really like the way you're sharing your toys and you're letting me play with your cars too. Thank you so much for being so kind. Wow, I really like all the colors you use when you draw art. You use all the colors of the rainbow. So you're not giving them praise like you're a good boy, you do a good job, great work. You're giving them objective encouragement, objective feedback. You're specifically labeling their behaviors. You give them as much as that as possible. They've got their own struggles, so we want to give them a stronger capacity and let them know all the things they're doing right. Then, in addition to that, you're going to want to describe their actions like they're a sportscaster. Whoa, I see the car, it's going off the cliff. Oh, crash. Oh no, the car crashed. We're gonna have to call 911. We need an ambulance here." So you're just giving a sportscast of what their play is and what's happening. So I mentioned before, mirroring their actions and doing what they're doing when you're following their lead. In addition to that, we wanna mirror their words. Whatever they say, you immediately say it back, and you can expand it by adding a clause to it. You can also expand it by turning it into a different type of statement. You can change the grammar, change it up a little bit. But what you're doing is you're giving that immediate feedback for their verbal speech, and you are saying it the same way or you're saying it a little differently. Imitation is the best form of a compliment, right? That is a really nice way of affirming their speech and having positive speech experiences. We're building that capacity in terms of their confidence in their speaking and their confidence of themselves. So, number 8 is all about building that capacity, that side of the scale that can take more stressors, that can tolerate more. Numbers 1 through 7 are really about removing as much of the holiday stressor as we can. When we do both, this is a two-pronged approach, we're going to improve fluency. But you can also comment on their speech and say, "Wow, I like the way that you're speaking so slowly and smoothly. I can hear that. I can hear that you're speaking nice and slowly and smoothly. You're talking like a teacher." It's not overly enthusiastic. It's just a calm enthusiasm. And of just observing it and being objective. It's not praise. You're not saying good speaking. You're just saying you're speaking slowly and smoothly, and you sound like a teacher when you talk that way. Those are the 8 tips. I apologize for my cold. You can always watch this on YouTube with the captions. Please make sure to share this with teachers. Make sure to share this with parents. We want our children to have a nice holiday experience. We don't want them to be their speech to be breaking down left and right because of the additional holiday stressors, the excitement, the change in schedules, the change in people, the change in settings. We want to make sure to take effort to build their capacity and take effort to remove as many of those stressors as possible. Then we have a nice even scale. It's when that scale gets uneven that we get those dysfluencies. I want you to take all of this information, roll up your sleeves, and make the world a better place.